So let's transition to the mountaintop then. What do we see here? Where's the scene in the movie where we really see this inversion happening, where we really see Hans sort of starting to lose control of the situation?
Yeah, so when we build up to the climax, I would say this is not at the climax, but this is kind of like the early peak. A lot of movies have that like preview of the climax. This is kind of it, where we get McClane moving from reactive to proactive. And the way that he does that is obviously he's already completely beaten up by this point in the movie. He's been running away for a long time after they find him, and he can't help himself except constantly be yelling loud expletives and stuff like that are giving him away to the terrorists or the thieves. And so he's been beaten down. He's getting chased through the elevator shaft and stuff like that at this point. And finally, he realizes that if he keeps staying on the defensive and all he does is just wait and try to learn information and kind of play this cat and mouse game over the radio, that's not going to be enough. That Hans is always one step ahead of him. And so he has to do something completely different now. And what he does on the flip side is he takes some plastic explosives that they had planned for their purposes, and instead he dumps them down the elevator shaft, which creates a complete inversion of the plan originally. He basically does a thing that they had thought of doing for them. And in doing so, now their perfect plan cannot be executed anymore.
Yeah, so he takes the initiative, which is, like you said, that's the first point where we really see him sort of being proactive. He's using their own stuff against them. He takes a couple of bad guys. He's doing this because he's just observed that that the police aren't going to get it done, right? The police are just walking into the narrative and just sort of, they're playing Hans's game and getting beat at it. But what that does is that suddenly the bad guy's plan, suddenly Hans's plan is completely off the rails. Like now he's really not in control of how things are going anymore, where that's his entire shtick is I'm in control. I have the detailed plan and all that. And so it kind of gets increasingly like and he doesn't freak out. He gets upset, but he doesn't freak out. He's like, okay, well, we're going to solve this. You do this, you do this. I'm going to go over here. We need to get the da-da-da-da, right? So he's still sort of running his own playbook, and it still looks relatively competent. But like you said, he's shifted from being proactive to reactive. And he never really, from this point in the movie onwards, he never really zooms out again. He's never really like trying to think several steps ahead. He's always looking one step ahead and trying to react to the new thing that just happened. And we've all been there, right? When you get in that mode, when your plan falls apart and all you're doing is just trying to put out fires, if you don't take the time to start thinking about like, why isn't the plan working? Do we need a new plan? Is the big picture even possible anymore? If you don't ever question that, then you just get deeper and deeper into the hole.
Yeah, that's the key here. What's our takeaway from this mountaintop? It's the inversion, and the inversion is always something that we're looking for because it points out something significant in the story is happening. And for us here, you're talking about an inversion from being proactive to being reactive, and on the flip side, it's McClane is becoming proactive from reactive.